Welcome back. I've had some wonderful response from the third training that has released on Meditative Mellows. I'm so happy. So I want to talk a little bit about that and answer a wonderful question that I got about, I didn't grow up in a spiritual family. I grew up in an atheistic family, and I'm coming to meditation. I really want to find my Ishta, but I'm having a little bit of trouble wrapping my mind around that. What can I do, Forrest? Who can I pick? Let's answer that question. I have a wonderful answer. Let's get into it. So one of the ways that you could see this third training is, will the true guru please step forward? It's a dualistic process, and we are engaging the center of knowing. We are engaging the center of bliss, the left amygdala. And in that process, which I present, we are gaining more downloads. So my very first student that I ever started training, he took this training, and the very next morning, he had a huge download. He had a beautiful dream, and then he woke up, and immediately this huge download came through him. So that was a beautiful response. Another student, he took the training, he followed through the progression, he got a little bit, but not a lot, and that night, he had a huge dream, and it was a teaching dream. It was not like a normal dream. It was a teaching dream, and he had downloads within the dream. He had a deeper understanding, all these things, and then he came back in his life, and it just kind of unfolded in his life. He could see how the message he received was coming through his daily life. Really beautiful. Another one of my students has been in Samadhi, going into Samadhi for some time. He's actually gone through Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa, and he's been in the Sahaja Samadhi that happens spontaneously while you're walking around. Not everybody knows this, but this is actually deeper than the frozen Samadhi. So first we encounter the frozen Samadhi, then we encounter a Samadhi while we're walking around. So he's been in this Sahaja process for some time. This Samadhi therapy has been going on. And then one day he just walked around and he was having a Samadhi at the same time. Kind of, amazing, right? And so I wasn't expecting that my students that are going through this Samadhi process, this very, very, very deep therapy because of Samadhi, would benefit in the same kind of way. And it's not quite the same, but it's still very relevant. He told me that he has always been very concentrated on the infinite. And he didn't always trust this dualistic process that would happen spontaneously. So he'd be going through his life and he would get a message. He would get this dualistic process and he would receive a message, right? And he didn't always trust it. But because he watched that training, it allowed him to understand how it was happening in the brain, how it was happening with brain waves, how the kahuna would explain the same process, and all that light shed on the process has now allowed him to trust his own process. And so the messages that his true guru has been giving him, he is able to trust and understand where those are coming from in his daily life. Amazing. Oh my, I wasn't expecting that response, and I'm so happy for it. Another person that has gone into Samadhi many times, another student of mine, said the same thing, that it has opened up this other side to her of this dualistic process. She's been in Samadhi and now she's going back to gather some of this dualistic process. And she says it's giving her more balance in her daily life. And this is one student, they went through the progression and then they went to sleep and then this happened. And so, like I say in the training, it might not actually happen in your meditation. It might happen when you're at the most restful point in your whole day. This is really beautiful. So here, dear Forrest, at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, Ma Kali came out of my heart. I was almost asleep, and when that happened, I didn't open my eyes, but woke up with a deep longing for her and calling upon her. It was very beautiful. I kept calling her name for some time. My heart still feels so fulfilled. Isn't that beautiful? So she went through the training, and the next day, this happened. This blossomed inside of her. And this is exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly the purpose of the training, that you go through the progression, and then this kind of response begins to blossom inside of you. So far, I've only really received one question, and I want to share that question with you. I just purchased Talking to the Higher Self and have a quick question. I was brought up in an atheist, so have no formal experience with a divine soul. Is one able to create their own Ishta, or do I need to research and choose one from a religious tradition? I have contemplated a few from Hindu, shamanistic, and African traditions, but can't help feeling a cultural disconnect. It's been a source of anxiety for a while now. What can I do? So, I love this question. What a great question. I didn't grow up in a religious setting. And so this idea of the Ishta, it's a little bit foreign to me. I want to do this process. I want to engage in this dualistic process because I understand it's going to help my meditations. How can I pick an Ishta? So I have an answer, and I think it's a really good one. What about a guardian angel? Can you imagine that you have a guardian angel hovering over you, looking out for you constantly? It's actually perfect because it's very culturally acceptable. We have this idea of guardian angels in many, many cultures and many, many practices. So I think it's a very, very good answer for a lot of people. And there's so much truth inside of it because the way that the right brain works, it's actually referred to as a guardian. So in the works of Ian McGilchrist, when he's talking about the processes of the right brain, he often uses this term of a guardian, that it's a guardian looking out for us constantly. And so in the training, I'm going to explain how the echo of that guardianship from the right brain crosses over into our dualistic experience of it. That is the experience of the Ishta, of our favorite, the Ishta Devata, in the left side of the brain with the left amygdala. And it's in this dualistic process. We're not merging with it like in the non-dual process, but we are still experiencing and getting benefit from that center of knowing. And it allows this play during the day, that we can have a conversation during the day and call on the higher self. And so, why not a guardian angel? Isn't that beautiful? Hovering over you, looking out for you all of the time. So, I just wanted to offer that as a possibility. And also, as you go through the training, what will happen, what I'm revealing to you, is the process will turn into this ever new Ishta process. So it's not that you have to pick one and stick with one. I was never quite able to do that. Divine Mother became my primary Ishta, but it never was my only Ishta. And so at the end of this process, I explain that it's going to be ever new. And you just look and find out who is there, who shows up for me today. And it makes it ever new and ever beautiful and interesting. It's a really wonderful way to approach your Ishta in day-to-day life and have something which is going to be ever new. Now, one student told me, most of the time I think of my Ishta as Jesus Christ, but I also have a deep love for the infinite. Well, that's actually exactly what I'm presenting, that you can have an Ishta and you can also have a relationship with the cosmic Lord. And I explain in the training, it's actually that cosmic presence which is shining through the Ishta. And so the Ishta is just a representative of that infinite intelligence. That's the idea of this training. And it will become even more clear in the next training. I hope that answers a lot of questions. I hope it's interesting to you. I'm so thrilled with this response that people take the training and then the next night they have an experience, or they go through the training, they get answers, they get interesting feedback from the higher self, and this continuous process of back and forth from the left brain to the right brain is so powerful, and it's awakening precisely the two parts of the brain which are most important to all spiritual experiences. And that's the center of bliss, the left amygdala, and the center of knowing, which is the right hippocampus. So powerful. Amazing. Oh my God. So I hope you loved this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you